All right, the Georgia Bulldogs have, is it flipped? They've got KJ Bolden now. Dean Leggy Matt DeBerry, we've done this for a while. Saw a lot of KJ, saw a lot of Dylan Raiola, saw a lot of the Buford Wolves. KJ Bolden is an explosive playmaker. He's probably going to play. I don't know. I don't know if he'll play corner or DB or safety. Probably safety for the Dogs. This was a good job by Kirby Smart and company getting really one of the most explosive playmakers in the South. It just plays defense. I keep saying playmaker, but if you've seen KJ Bolden play, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he can do it all. We saw him take a crazy punt return back to the house. I think it was against Grayson. He is explosive. He has elite speed, one of the fastest players in the country at 6'1", 185. He's got some size on him at safety, where I think Georgia's going to have him as, because they've got some cornerbacks. They need a big-time safety, and that's what he brings. But he brings size and length. He closes well. He hits hard. He's a sure tackler, but he covers so much ground in the back end due to his natural cover instincts, his length, his overall speed, his awareness. I mean, he's got a natural feel for the position. But I tell you what, Dean, I've said since, he was a sophomore, if he played for me, I'd put him at wide receiver. He is a game changer there. He caught 30 passes, and he scored 14 touchdowns. Yeah. 14 touchdowns on 30 catches, 663 yards in 7A. Then he's going and playing defense. I mean, the guy just never really leaves the field. He's a top 10, top 15 prospect in the country for a reason. He is big time, and he's a guy that Georgia did not want to lose on. And as we reported on Tuesday, there was a real flip of this happening, right? And so if you're on Dawg Post, if you're a Dawg Post member, this is not crazy surprising, but in the end, when you've got some NIL money to play with, you didn't give it to Dylan Raiola. You haven't really used that money on a big-time transfer just yet. Last-minute offer, hey, here's what we can do for you. They were able to land his commitment. Big-time flip. Feels like it's a few years ago, right, with another big-time Georgia flip on signing day. We got it today with KJ Bolden.
Yeah, there's really a lot to discuss with how this went down. So listen, and Matt, when did he go? Did he go in July or August? Early August?
I believe it was early August.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking about that earlier today, and I was having such a difficult time remembering. He was set to go to Georgia. So that's the part to kind of not forget in all of this. He goes to the Noles. You said so much good stuff there that I've lost my train of thought. But my worry for Florida State in all of this was that there was just too much scuttlebutt that he was not going to Florida State. That's why I thought it was probably going to be Auburn. Even a week ago on the message board, on Dawg Post message board, I was like, people are saying, well, can KJ Bolden flip? I said, yeah, to Auburn, but only in the last, I don't know, 4 days, maybe 3 days, was it becoming more clear that, hey, man, they are probably going hard in for him. Dylan Raiola leaving does matter in this thing. I know the situation at Buford relatively well, I feel like. I think that that opened up some opportunity for NIL stuff for him. Listen, and I do not hate this guy for nothing about Bolden. He was going to the best deal. And, the best deal for the longest time was Florida State. And my understanding in the summer, Matt, was Georgia said, hey, this is what we got to offer. We really want you to come. It wasn't as good as what Florida State offered. And Georgia said, no hard feelings, basically. Go do your thing. And he did go do his thing. But at the end of the day now, with Georgia signing him, there's no question that they went back and said, this is what we can do right now. We did not have the capability to do. We weren't lying to you. This is what we have the capability to do. And he knows he knows what's happened. Everybody does. But now, what changed, and I want to talk about him as a player in a little bit, but what changed was Georgia had more to offer, and he didn't ignore that.
Yeah, we've said it for a while. That's a big part of his recruitment, right? As it is for a lot of kids now. Everyone's looking at NIL saying, hey, what can this school do for me? When they're on these visits, that's one of the first questions they ask, whether it's the Georgia staff, Auburn staff, Florida State staff, whoever. These kids see an opportunity to make some money early on in their college career. Of course, they're going to, be open to that. And I don't know the exact amounts of the deal or whatever they proposed to him, but I would assume that it's enough to where they want to get him on the field early. These kids want to play. And again, as we've seen, these 5 stars can be at one school 1 year and then flip after just 1 year, hit the transfer portal. So when you invest so much time and effort recruiting and NIL money for a kid like this who's this good, you're going to want to play him and get him out there, keep him happy, get him on board, keep him happy. That's what Kirby and this staff has to do with everyone they sign. Basically, every other coaching staff across the country has to do the same thing. But he is an elite player with elite size, ball skills, speed, explosiveness. This kid has it all as a wide receiver, defensive back, kick and punt returner. The kid can do everything. And now they get to see what he's got.
I wrote this on, or we wrote this. A lot of these have my bylines, but trust me, Matt is involved in them. You're seeing this on the screen right now. This was written on August 16th, 2023. It's a what we're hearing over on Dawg Post. So this is almost 5 months ago. It was talking about KJ Bolden, who picked the Noles over Auburn and Georgia. Bolden's decision to go with the Noles was surprising to some insiders and apparently to Georgia. Quote, it was Georgia until noon on Saturday, and then Georgia came in last. That's a typo right there. One insider with acute understanding of the situation said, I really think Georgia said, good luck, we understand. As Dawg Post reported in July, quote, it looks like NIL will be a major consideration for Bolden. That's coming from folks tight with that program. Now, that's not exactly shocking information considering the landscape of college recruiting. So that was reported. Actually, Matt, we reported this on July 6th. None of this is surprising. None of this is surprising at all if you're paying attention to what we're writing at Dawg Post. Now, let's talk about him as a player. I mean, I just wanted to put that out there that, there is totally value in subscribing to Dawg Post when we're talking about it 6 months ago. When I was in Charlotte, Dylan Raiola was not playing great because the offensive line was, a bridge trying to stop water. Like, it was not working out well. Finally, KJ Bolden got connected with Raiola. That was what won them that game. One score. Had they not had Bolden in that game, they very well could have lost that game. I do want to point out in that game too, Matt, that Bolden dropped an easy pick six. So in all fairness, that's what happened. But in watching him play against St. Francis, against Jones County, against in Charlotte, and against Grayson, and there was one other game as well.
I saw him take off against North Cobb for a deep touchdown. We saw the pick six early in the season. I guess was that against St. Francis or was that against Jones County? Either one. He picked off a pass over the middle, zigzagged, eluded several defenders, and then took off for a touchdown. I saw him score a big touchdown against North Cobb. The guy just makes plays, and if the ball's around, he's going to go get it. Now, I will say I would not give him 5-star hands, and maybe that's one reason why he's on defense, but he's around the football, and more often than not, he's going to make a play on it. But his hands aren't perfect, so if we're going to be nitpicky on this 5-star top 15 prospect, maybe that's something, but overall, he's a special, special player.
What I love about you is your insistence that no one is a perfect player, which is interesting. Let me just show you. Can't see this on the screen right now, Matt, but this is all the times KJ Bolden has been to Georgia. This is in early 2022 on the bottom right hand corner, and then we see him with BMAC in the summer of 22. In November of 22, he's at Georgia. Back again in the spring with BMAC. Here he is, and this is in spring of 23. Late spring in May of 23 with Kirby. He went there for a game. If I'm not mistaken, Matt, which game was that this fall?
I think we went to at least two.
Okay.
The got with Brian McClendon was at G-Day in April. That was a big visit.
Yeah.
And you could just tell. I mean, he's had a bond with this Georgia staff for a long, long time. And they were able to land him without Fran Brown. They just hired a new defensive backs coach.
That's true.
And they still were able to land him. So this is not what coach do I know the best or want to play for the most? Because Pat Surtain is the defensive backs coach at Florida State, and his son is one of the best corners in the NFL, and he was really good too. That's a guy you would love to play under. But this was more to it than that. Georgia knew that, and they said, you know what? We got to get this kid. We have an opportunity to. Let's see if we can do it, and they did.
What does it say about Georgia that they made this move at the end? I mean, Georgia's going to sign the number one class with or without Raiola, with or without Bolden. I mean, that's simplistic though. The way I just put that. I mean, you'd rather be the number one class with both if you could do it. So adding Bolden, you know, what does it say about them that they? It seems to me like they've adjusted a little bit in terms of NIL.
100%. I mean, you just said it. They have to adjust. We saw
Yeah.
Nick Saban, Kirby Smart adjust as it relates to building your team with college football and winning. With all these changes going on, but you have to do it on the recruiting trail too. And we saw Georgia on the biggest stage on the field come up a little short. But when it matters the most, 24 hours before signing day, they went out and they closed, and they showed that they are alpha recruiters still, but they can also adapt with the times and with this world of recruiting and get guys in different ways. They can use the pitch, hey, you can come here, win championships, go to the NFL. But they can also use the pitch as, hey, we can help you with NIL too. What are you looking for? What means the most to you? Let's try to make it happen. And they were able to get the job done. And I mean, they closed. You have to close and get your best guys, when signing day is here and you've got a few hours to get it done. They were able to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the past, what would concern me if you were Georgia going to a signing day fight with Auburn and Florida State, I would say you're probably going to lose that one. This is a different time, a different thing. But KJ Bolden picking the Dogs, surprising. I wouldn't say it's shocking. I told people that I'd be skeptical of this, but I would not be completely pessimistic, Matt, because it was always kind of there. That's the other thing. Go ahead.
I think Monday and even Tuesday morning, I was under the impression that Georgia had made their best offer and it wasn't enough. Of course, you and I both started hearing Tuesday around lunch, maybe a little after lunch, that, hey, Georgia's they're gonna give him another offer here. They're still in communication. They're still in talks. Hey, we're still here. We still want you. What do you need? What do you want? What's it going to take to get you? And of course, in the last 24 hours, it really started to turn Georgia's way. And it's a tough pill for Florida State to swallow. They had this kid in the bag, in the boat, whatever you want to call it. He grew up a Florida State fan. I think his dad's a Florida State guy. Of course, his mom loves Kirby Smart and the Dogs. They won the mom over here, which went a long way. But this kid grew up with Florida State posters on his wall and called that his dream school. And to flip from your dream school to Georgia at the last minute shows that Georgia really went all out. And they said, you know what? You have to win. You have to get these guys if you want to win championships. This is a championship caliber player who can be a real difference maker, a real game changer on defense. You can't teach that speed. You can't teach that length. You can teach instincts to a certain level, but this kid really does have it all. And they said, no, whatever it's going to take, let's get this kid. And they made it happen.
Well, and this is not just a signing day thing. And I remember talking to somebody. It was Kirby's second class, I think. But they had gotten, who was the kid from, not Quay Walker, but he eventually went to go to Mississippi.
Otis Reese.
Yes. So Otis Reese seemed like out of the blue thing. And I remember talking to somebody the night later. Yeah. I was down in Florida watching Tyson Campbell. That's where I was. Go ahead.
Real quick, I dropped Dylan off at Crisp County to come Quay Walker. Then I drove to Lee County. Not a whole lot of Georgia media guys there, but we had some info that he could land at Georgia. Right. So I drove to Lee County. I think there might have been only one other Georgia outlet there. So a lot of, everyone else, not everyone else, but a lot of our competitors or other people in this area didn't have the information that I did. And that's why we went down there, and it was worth it. But that was a crazy day. And you were at Tyson Campbell.
I was in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah. Or whatever it is. Yeah. Fort Lauderdale. And the funny part, Matt, I wasn't about to get on the plane. I was about to get to the airport. And I spoke with somebody in the recruiting world at Georgia. I'll call it that. And I said, yeah, Otis Reese, how did you make that happen? Like kind of out of the blue. And they were like, oh no, that wasn't out of the blue. Like, we've been on him for a long time, and that was not out of the blue. The KJ Bolden thing would not be out of the blue. That's the reason why I bring that up, because I mean, you just see the images with him and BMAC and all this. I mean, like, those are all getting Bolden right at the end, kind of getting him where he was going to go to begin with. It's a huge win for Georgia, and it really cements what is a number one class in the country. If you're not signing up for a newsletter, the link is right down below, and you're making a mistake. Do that today.